All right. Hi, I'm Pat X, and you are tuned in to PSYCHii. I think for our first episode, it's probably important to see if I can actually do this. And also kind of explain what PSYCHii is, right? But yeah, let's do this intro real quick. I just wanna show you good vibes. I just wanna show you good vibes. All right, once again, I am Pat X, and you are listening to PSYCHii. The main reason why I wanted to do the PSYCHii podcast, well, one of the main reasons is, I just kind of like talking to people, right? Sharing that intimacy of having a one-on-one conversation. Also, I think that it's pretty noteworthy to say that a lot of the conversations that I have with people do have some depth to them, right? So it's not as small talk as, oh, the weather's great. Yeah, it's just whatever. The sun's out. It's feeling pretty warm. Or if you like cold weather, it's pretty chilly. I like it. Sweater weather. Yada, yada. All that stuff that just kind of doesn't really have a whole lot of depth to it, right? Anytime I talk with my friends or my colleagues, you know, there's something to take away from it. I also think that it's usually entertaining, right? And so why not, you know, present that in the form of a podcast for other people to listen and be engaged and even contribute to. So that was the real purpose for the podcast, right? To, you know, invite these individuals, even strangers, once we get to that point, to a space where they could be themselves and talk about things that might be a little weird to bring up on a first date, or peculiar to start a conversation with. But these are the things that matter, you know. I wanna know if you believe in aliens, right? I wanna know your views on sensitive topics. I want to hear some crazy story about your upbringing, or that one party that was crazy in your earlier years or something. If you're an older person, whatever the case may be, that's what I want to hear about. That's what I want to talk about. And so I think it was important to kind of give people that space and give myself a space to where I could, you know what I mean, talk about things, and kind of, yeah, have that platform. So that's the podcast, right? Diving a little bit more into PSYCHii as a whole, of course, there's the merch, right? Another avenue I wanted to give myself, as well as collaborators, you know, the opportunity to do some visual aesthetics, right? To dive into clothing, you know, visual art being one of my passions, and something that I feel like I've kind of gotten away from a little bit, specifically the design aspect of things. And yeah, I really like fashion. I really like designing and drawing things, and I like seeing what other people create, and wearing it is dope. So the merch is pretty self-explanatory. So let's talk about the PSYCHii logo, right? It is a brain, an oozing brain, because that's cool, right? But aside from that, so PSYCHii, right? You think of psychology, you think of psychedelics, you think of psychological, whatever the case may be, right? This is because that's one of the defining characteristics that separates us from other living things, right? Our ability to rationalize, our ability to create scenarios, to think hypothetically, to articulate complex things, right? Complexity, really, in a layman's terms, right? In an overarching kind of way of describing our difference. That connects us as well as separates us so much as a human species or whatever. And so I think that we're all just a brain in a body, right? This big think tank. And we just question everything. We think think about everything we do is centered around the brain and thought, right? And so that's kind of why this brain is like leaking and oozy, right? Because a lot of times this kind of, you kind of like spill your thoughts out, similar to how I'm talking to you right now. You just vomit things out. It's just this stream of conscious thought, right? Or unconscious thought even. So yeah, that's the reason for the brain being the logo and the hence the title, right? The name of the company. But also I think everything under this is going to be loosely based on that. And maybe not even based, but it's all gonna kind of come back to that, right? Come back to the perpetual what the fuck that is our existence, right? I read a post earlier that was like, hey, just remember that you're trapped in a decaying body on a rock, floating in eternal black space, and literally no one knows why. And so I guess my question is, what are you going to do about it? My answer is I'm just going to make shit and try to enjoy my time here, right? And along the way, I want to share what I make with other people. I want to make things with other people. I want other people to share what they made with me, right? And so, like I said, everything that's gonna be under this company, this brand, this empire, because I'm speaking into fucking existence, is always gonna tie back to this brain, this leaky brain, this not pretty thing, this slimy thing, this inconsistent thing, right? That has so much complexity, and same way we don't really know why anything's here, anything exists. We don't know a whole lot about the brain either. Or maybe we do know a whole lot, but there's still a whole lot more to know about it. Same way we don't know much about the universe. I think your consciousness, your brain, is kind of like your universe, if you will. I might put that on a shirt, so stay tuned. But yeah, so that's kind of my thought process. See what I did there? By accident. It's kind of my reasoning for calling it PSYCHii, right? I like philosophy. I like psychology. I'm a huge thinker, an overthinker even. And there's just so much tied into your thoughts, right? And so I thought that was just like a really good thing to brand, right? To create a thing around, because it's really the basis of all that we do. Yeah. And like, of course, philosophy and psychology, all of that can be really applicable to any and everything. And it's two subjects that I enjoy. And like I said, I wanted to create a brand around it. Not from like a educational standpoint, but from I don't know, just enjoying that idea and applying it in an artistic space. So the merch, the podcast, the music, once this kind of grows, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on here really quick, see if I was capable of essentially talking to myself in this room to later be heard by others. Yeah, so it's somewhat peculiar, but I guess like everything else, eventually it'll become kind of second nature and make sense. Yeah, even that's kind of trippy to think about. Like I'm in this room talking into a mic and nobody's here, but I'm very much having a conversation with an audience. An audience that exists at a later date and time. So I'm having a conversation, and this is probably recorded like at least a month before it's heard. But we're holy shit. Yeah, we're just like, we're almost transcending time. Like I had this by the time you hear this, I could think about it like this. Think about you're listening to it in real time right now. But as you're listening to my voice, just know that this is the voice of me at least a month before you heard it. But I'm talking to you right now. And even as I'm saying it, I'm envisioning you listening to it in real time several weeks from now whenever I release it. So I'm like a time traveler, technically. Right? Maybe not, but yeah, right now I'm just kind of like killing time. I want to get to like this 15-minute mark. I'm hoping that of course once we get people on here and have guests, these conversations are going to get longer and more intricate. Granted, the subject matter that we're often going to be talking about, we're going to have like little segments and stuff like that so that you can really get to know the guests and we can bounce ideas off of each other. But I'm hoping that the time frame is in the kind of 30-minute range. I think that's really a sweet spot. It's very digestible, you know what I mean? It doesn't drag too far. A lot of y'all can listen when you're en route to wherever. I just think it's a really good time frame to kind of have a quick sit down, something that's not gonna be super long and hard to digest. So we're looking at that 30-minute time frame. But since I am a solo act for this first episode, and this might not even be the first episode, so I need to stop saying that. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to just sit down and talk to you without having a particular subject either. Of course, I'm talking about PSYCHii, right, and what it is, but this wasn't premeditated at all. I'm very much just rambling, and I have a master's degree in art, but I have a PhD in winging it. And I am showcasing that talent and expertise right now because I've winged this pod now. But yeah, so as far as the podcast, the PSYCHii podcast, we're going to get people on here. And we're just going to have a conversation. We're going to sip some tea as we have this conversation because I am a tea enthusiast. We might do coffee too, maybe. I'm not opposed to coffee. But yeah, we're gonna get the kettle in here, get some legit tea, raw honey, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna do it right. And we're just gonna sit down and talk. I'll give, listeners the opportunity to give their input. Maybe message me some of the things you want me to ask particular guests. And we'll just go from there. I really want this to be a community-based thing. I want to hear from y'all. This isn't just me, y'all consuming me. That sounded weird. This isn't just you listening to me talk, right? This is you listening to individuals have a conversation, but also providing your input and engaging in said conversation in various different ways, right? So yeah, that's PSYCHii. I hope I explained it well. I'm going to play it back and listen to it to see if I explained it well. Hopefully so, because I'm really not trying to do this again, do a second take. But we'll do what we need to do. But yeah, I appreciate y'all listening. Hopefully this gets a little bit more structuralized and cohesive. I don't know, is structuralized a word? Hopefully this gets a little bit more cohesive and packaged nicely. But this process is very new to me, and it's exciting. And I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to fuck up. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to grow. And I'm excited to have y'all along for the ride, with me for the ride, to have y'all. Yeah, tune in next time. Thanks. See you.